Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Random's Thoughts, inaugural video edition. I'm husband,
And I'm wife.
and we're trying something new today. If you're familiar with us or if you're not familiar with us, we don't normally do videos. We typically do an audio podcast, in general centered around the now defunct WoW TCG. But in general, it's a gaming podcast, and we run a gaming website, and we talk about a number of games and other geeky related media. Would that be accurate, wife?
I would say, yeah, geeky related, gaming related media.
Primarily, yeah. So where would people go to find some of our other stuff, wife?
So if you are looking for us, please search at randomsthoughts.wordpress.com. That's randomsthoughts.wordpress.com.
Is everybody out there impressed with wife's Vanna White?
I'm working on it
She's been trying hard.
so hard.
So as you can tell, we're here in the Random's Thoughts recording studio, and by that I mean our basement.
Yeah.
So we are trying this for the first time, as we said. Hopefully everything works out, but definitely give us some feedback and how we could improve. So that's enough about us and where we are, which probably no one cares about. What are we doing?
So today we have a special game that we found, I think initially through Kickstarter.
Yes.
And it's follows a story near and dear to many of our hearts, back to our childhood.
Yeah, we didn't realize until we started explaining this game to our friends and explaining it to other people when we went to various conventions or we went to tournaments for other games or whatever the case may be. We'd bring the game up and say, "Oh, have you heard of Gruff?" I'm like, "No, what is that?" "Oh, well, it's loosely based on the Three Billy Goats Gruff fairy tale." And everybody looked at us like we had 10 heads. And at that point in time, apparently our childhoods were significantly different than everyone else's.
Apparently. So should we tell them the story of the Billy Goat's Gruff?
Well, give them the wife, give everybody the quick rundown of the
Alright.
Billy Goats, and then I'll give them the quick rundown of Gruff.
All right. So the Mother Goose story. Once upon a time, there were 3 Billy Goats, and they wanted to cross a bridge. By the way, the goats were brothers. And underneath the bridge, there was a grumpy old troll. And the grumpy old troll was going to try to eat the Billy Goat's Gruff. So then the Billy Goat's Gruff proceeded to kick the troll's ass. I think that's accurate.
You went and did significant research on that story, didn't you,
I
wife?
did.
So how does that have anything to do with the tactical card game that is Gruff? You're about to find out. Once upon a time, in the darkest of ages, hideous trolls blockaded the way between our world and the next, until one day 3 Billy Goats knocked them into the betwixt, toppling their reign forever. Since that time, those who would shepherd their way across the void have weaponized their flocks into monster goats called Gruffs. Dramatic, huh?
Pretty good.
You like that, wife?
You did pretty good. I'm just imagining now I really want Vincent Price narrating that.
Well, or Orson Welles.
I mean, yeah, Orson Welles is fine, but Vincent Price.
I have a special place in my heart for Orson Welles.
I understand that because you're obsessed with a certain cartoon that he did. I have a special place in my heart for Vincent Price.
So, if you couldn't tell, I didn't make that up. That is not a Random Thoughts original. That's
He
actually
is not imaginative enough for that.
let's just ratchet it back a bit, wife. I'd come up with some interesting stuff.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so as you can tell, this actually came out of the base rulebook, this box right here. So a few years ago, there was a Kickstarter campaign for Gruff. And then since then, there have been 2 expansions, Clash of the Battle Goats and Rage of the Trolls. Now, Rage of the Trolls is what we're primarily going to focus on, but I think it's important to have the background for the game to really appreciate everything that went into this. So wife had mentioned that we originally found it on Kickstarter, but I don't know if we were just trolling Kickstarter for cool stuff or if we saw it at Gen Con or where we originally saw it, but ultimately we did Kickstart it, and that's how we have this that's sitting in front of the camera right now.
Yes.
Now, since then, as we said, there have been 2 expansions. There's been a number of updates to the game, and I think one of the biggest key components to this compared to other card games is it is labeled a tactical card game. Can you describe for everybody a little bit about why it's tactical? What's the difference between a tactical card game and your typical collectible card game, wife?
Well, because you are in battle. It's definitely more of a battle than even your regular card games. Like, those are skirmishes. This is a freaking battle. So, you are a general or a shepherd, and you are controlling your troops, who are the Gruffs. And it's really a lot of forethought has to go into your turns because there's a lot of. Would you say there would be a lot of chain events? There's a significant number of chain events.
There's a significant difference, I think, between what you're going to do in, say, playing Magic, or even when we played WoW, or still play WoW, or when you play other games. Pick a random card game that you happen to enjoy or have witnessed people play. The difference here is that you actually start the game with a lot of things already in play. So typically you start a game, any other card game, and you got a blank slate. Both players, and then player 1 goes, player 2 goes, you go back and forth. Now there is a turn structure here, but in this game, you will start with 3 Gruffs in play alongside your Shepherd. So your Shepherd, as Wife was indicating, is your, air quotes, general. But Shepherd is more thematic, which, as you'll see, and I'm sure you could tell already, this game oozes theme.
Yes.
From everywhere.
All the themes.
All over the place. It gets it on everything.
And has sub-themes.
So
and side plots.
We're going to have something kind of interesting here. So we'll get to why these cards look very similar in a second. But you start the game with 3 Gruffs and your Shepherd. Your deck is comprised of 24 cards, 8 cards per Gruff. Now, each card has corresponding cards, and I'm not going to show the ones specifically for these Gruffs, but each Gruff has 15 cards that they could include potentially in their deck.
And the best part about these cards is you can't confuse them because they have the picture of your Gruff in them.
So I lied. I'm pulling out one for Skitters here, who is also here. This is Psychic Shred. So in this particular case, as Wife was explaining, Skitters has the same artwork both on his Gruff card as well as his actual play cards, I guess.
Which is super awesome because then you're not squinting trying to find the tiny little writing saying Squitter's name in the corner, or saying, does this symbol really look exactly like this symbol?
And it makes it a lot simpler from a deck building perspective. We come from, if you played Hearthstone, you have your class cards and then you have neutral cards. In this, or even in other games, it makes it very difficult, or maybe not difficult, but it can be challenging and confusing for new players. Okay, well, how do I build a deck? What's actually allowed to be in a deck? In this particular case, it's very simple. If it matches the artwork, you use it. Now, you can only have 8 cards out of the 15 Licky cards. You could have 8 of them in your deck, and then 8 Skitters, and then 8 Grinder. So you have a 24-card deck, and they are comprised of a variety of different things. So in this case, we have 2 Skitter cards and a Fluttermind card, which, spoiler alert, we'll get to Fluttermind later.
Yes.
But if you'll notice, there are different symbols on each of the cards just below their cost. So the cost is pretty self-explanatory. We'll explain how the resource system, which is also unique, works in a minute. But each card falls into one of 3 categories. So you have mutations, you have actions, and you have conditions. Actions, if you played Magic or most other games, there's usually some sort of one-time effect thing. You'll play Psychic Shred, it goes away. It does its thing, and then it's gone. Conditions are the middle ground. So you'll play them, they hang out for a turn, and then during the resolution phase of your next turn, they disappear. Now that changes a little bit when we get to our good dear friends, the trolls, but we're not there yet. The third and final one is mutations. These are they're actually permanents.
Yeah,
I was going to say more permanent,
effects.
but
remember, you are mutating your goats to be battle ready, and these mutations help you make them battle ready.
So, Wife, you just mentioned the funny or key word. You said goats.
Yes.
Tell me how these are goats.
Okay, so, spoiler alert, the goats don't look like goats because they're Gruffs. But
now, to be fair, some of them do.
Some of them look more like goats than others.
Grinder looks more like a goat.
Grinder here, he looks a lot more like a goat than your normal goat. But some of them are a little horrifying. Some of them are really awesome. Some of them are both awesome and horrifying. But I think, I don't know about you, husband, but if you spent a lot of time among these goats, quote unquote, would you go a little crazy?
Well, they certainly are weird.
They definitely are weird. So,
can you explain?
Not to be too hokey.
So, wife, take us through what the card anatomy is. We'll start with the Gruffs and then move to the Shepherds.
All right. So the Gruffs have three different stats. They're mean, essentially their attack. They're fat, which is essentially their defense because chubby goats bounce.
Not
And
only
then
Bumbles bounce.
nope, not only bumbles. And then we have their weird. So they're weird because they all look a little weird. The more it increases, the more resources you get because your resources is not your weird, it's the crazy that you get from how weird they are.
Literally, your soldiers are driving you insane, and that empowers you to empower them to make them weirder, to drive you more insane, to either defeat opposing shepherds or the big nasty trolls.
And you gotta understand, I love crazy.
Yeah. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. So,
Yeah, true.
basically, the way it will work is when you take your turn, and we're going to get into the specifics momentarily. But when you take your turn, you're going to activate an individual Gruff, do some stuff, and then that will either trigger effects on the Gruff, it'll trigger effects on your Shepherd, and then obviously you'll be interacting with your opponent's board. Because of the way the game setup works, you are by definition always interacting with your opponent. So a lot of other games and a lot of complaints that we've heard when we've spoken with other people about other games is there are combinations of cards. There are situations with certain cards and certain strategies where you feel super helpless. In this game, you are forced to interact on every level, every turn. And you don't have a choice. You have to actually play the game. So that is definitely, you know, put a tick mark in
Yeah.
Gruff's corner compared to other games.
There really isn't any way to take a turn off. You're always doing something. You have to, or you're dead.
Exactly. So to get into the more specific turn structure, we're going to drop this out here. Now, this is the turn order card for the Rage of the Trolls expansion. Now, these top three phases involve the trolls, but wife, run us through if we were just playing each other as opposed to against the trolls.
All right, so our first thing is the player resolution phase. Now, that means that any effects from the last turn that need to be fixed, like if you attacked or things like that, are all resolved at the beginning of the turn. Then you have your draw phase.
Self-explanatory.
Yep. And then you have your activation phase. So each turn, you activate one of your gruffs. Now, you cannot, like, I can't activate Grinder, put him down, and then activate him again. I have to go through all available gruffs before they reset themselves.
Now you can see exactly how and why the tactics come in even before we get to the tactical phase or the tactical action phase. You have to really plan ahead and map out your strategy and figure out how you want the game to flow.
Yes, you really do. And then you play your cards because, as husband showed before, your cards that you have their cost. So when you activate, sometimes every time you activate a gruff, you increase your crazy by that gruff's weird. So if I were to activate Licky here, I would increase it by 2 weird.
So
to start off with.
You can see down in the bottom of the card, there are circles around some of the numbers, and it varies by Gruff. That's their starting values. As we get into walking you through the game itself, you're going to see that there are little markers that come with the game to keep track of where your mean is, where your weird is, your fat, your crazy, your life total, etc. And each time you activate one of these, you are generating resources for your shepherd. Now, the resource system, like wife was describing, you'll have your cost on your card. You play it and you're expending those resources. But if you were at 9 crazy and you play these two for 7, it doesn't drop down to 2. Now it drops down to 2 for the turn, so you can't spend, say, 18 points worth of cards. It's not a threshold. But the following turn, you refresh back to 9 crazy.
Yes.
So you're not permanently losing anything. So think of it as your standard resource system from that perspective. But the whole crazy weird interaction is anything but standard.
Yes.
So
there is one important thing to note when you are making your decks is this little symbol on your shepherd. Each shepherd has a number surrounded by goat horns. I'm going to call them goat horns because that's what they look like to me. That is your ultimate. You can only have that many ultimate cards in your deck. It can come from any number of your 3, but you can only have that many ultimates. So for Coalfield here, you can really only have 4 ultimate cards.
So as we described earlier, through the various expansions and iterations of the game, there have been some slight changes. The ultimates are one of them. As you'd imagine, they have the title ultimate for a reason. The cards are bigger, badder, and stronger than other cards. So you can't include a whole deck full of ultimates. That's part of the balancing act in deck construction. So we have your 15 cards, some of which are ultimates. You cut it down to 8 for times 3 Gruffs. You shuffle them up, and then you start smashing, right, Wave?
Smash.
So the last part of your turn, the record excess crazy, we're going to skip for now because that is specifically related to the trolls. Typically in a player versus player scenario, you're not going to interact on your opponent's turn. So you're going to do all your stuff, but then they take their turn. So it's more asynchronous, for lack of a better way to put it. Your last thing on your turn is you take a tactical action. There are a number of different options. So, Wife, why don't you run through some of the things that you can do?
So, the easiest tactical action to really talk about is probably increasing any one of your stats. You can spend a tactical action increasing his mean so he attacks more next turn, or increasing his weird so you get more resources next time that Gruff is activated. But probably the one that everyone here at least is most familiar with is once they're activated, using your tactical action to smash whomever's facing, usually the person across.
So you'll end up sliding your Gruff up, and they will attack directly across. Now, again, when we get to the troll part, things get a little more complicated, but in general, you're attacking across. Now, let's assume for the moment that Skitters had, or somehow, Grinder had bit the dust, and this is how you signify that a Gruff is dead. So if Skitters is going to go through, he's going through and hitting directly. So it matters for the next potential tactical action that you can take whether your Gruffs are dead, and that's resurrecting. So if I were to activate my Skitters, I could choose not to grow, not to attack, not to move, because you can swap places with Gruffs. I could choose to resurrect a friendly Gruff, so that way he can jump in front. The Gruffs are not only weird and mean and making your shepherds crazy, but apparently they're immortal.
Yes. Well, if you've ever spent enough time around goats, you will know goats are immortal, so I get it.
Sure. So how do you win the game? Well, the obvious one is you knock your opponent to 0 health.
Yes.
The other option is if all their Gruffs have bitten the dust, your shepherd doesn't really stand a chance against an entire army of mutated goats.
Yeah, so it's pretty much like going into a checkmate in chess.
Exactly. So we're going to move into how you play the game against the trolls. But before we do, we just did want to highlight a couple things. Again, there are a number of iterations across the base to Clash of the Battle Goats to Rage of the Trolls. One of the cool ones is this, and this is why we have exactly these Gruffs out here. So as you can see, we have Licky, we have Skitters, and we have Grinder. So these are the legendary versions of original base game Gruffs. So Licky became Licky the Inoculated. He started as a Funk Fiend, and now he's a Grendel. There are various factions within Gruff, corresponding roughly to the type of Gruff they are.
Yes.
So you have Skull Clan. Think necromancy, death magic, that sort of thing. You have Funk Fiend, which is more poisons and poxes and diseases and that sort of thing. You have Grendels,
which are the closest to goats that you're gonna get
exactly.
In this game.
But as part of the Kickstarter campaign, which is really cool, there's an ever-evolving story in the world of Gruff and in the Betwixt where these battles take place. And it just so happens that Licky was inoculated. Skitters is the Stalker now. I guess he got promoted. And Grinder is now the Infected. So what ends up happening is you can use these cards, or these Gruffs rather, with their base cards. So this Reckless Slash from Skitters can go in either deck. But in this particular case, maybe Skitters wasn't a great example, so forgive me because there's still Skull Clan. But if you have things, and there are cards that interact with Funk Fiends or Grendels or Skull Clan or the other factions, so maybe you want a Funk Fiend Grinder and you really want Grinder's Ultimate from set 1 to show up in this. Be it just because of the way you're constructing your deck. It's just another cool way that Gruff just dumps a 300-gallon bucket of flavor onto everything.
Yeah, there really is a lot of favor. And that other faction that you forgot is the best faction. They're the Deep Things.
Oh, yeah? And why are they the best?
Because they're the water type.
What's their battle cry, wife?
All. Ready for it?
I'm ready.
All hail the Fluttermind!
Spoiler alert, even though I think that's the third time we're bringing that up, but we'll get to that later. So for now, I think that's a pretty good 10,000-foot view of how to play the game, right, wife?
I think so. So let's get into kicking some troll butt. So, for any of you who happen to game as part of a relationship, be it a marriage or a friendship or really anything, sometimes you might notice that a certain ill will happens toward your partner when you're playing competitively against each other.
That doesn't happen now,
And
does it, wife?
sometimes certain partners have to sleep on the couch.
May or may not want to throw a game every once in a while.
Yeah, it might just be a good idea. But then you have these wonderful moments where you can join together to defeat a common enemy. So that's what we're doing right now. So in the Rage of the Trolls Gruff expansion, it is actually you can play it as a solitaire sort of deal, but it is you and other shepherds fighting against the oncoming horde of trolls. Now, some of you might have had a similar experience, not even similar, but you versus the deck or you versus a non-player component when it comes to card games. When you think of things like the WoW Dungeons, if anyone has recently played like the Hogwarts Battle card building game.
Deck builder?
Deck builder, that's the word. And these are the type of things where it is you and your compatriots against the evil oncoming horde.
Yeah, this genre, I guess, of card game is becoming more and more popular because there have always been cooperative games across everything. And card games really they didn't really have this sort of component until a few years ago, and Gruff happens to be one of the games that provides that sort of gameplay experience. So as wife described, you could play this you against the troll, and the rules do change ever so slightly. But we're trying it out, and I think it's more fun when it's a cooperative experience. Us against the troll, not me against the troll.
Yeah, and it's fun because we get to work together. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Oh my God, you are an after-school poster.
I am.
Stop. So, as you saw us setting up, we described earlier, on your cards there are little circles around the starting values. So we put these little markers that come with the game. The red ones happen to be a Kickstarter backer exclusive, although I don't know if they're for sale on the site, but in any case, you'll get little markers that come with the game to track where your stats are, and that includes for the trolls, for your gruffs, and for your shepherd. So we have the trolls centered here. The reason being is that some of the things that will happen to us, unfortunately, is the troll's going to jump around and try and beat on everybody. So you have your troll behavior deck. You have your set of tokens, which are double-sided. This is a turn order sequence card, but you have your gruffs that we explained before and your shepherd. Our goal is to reduce the troll's health or life to 0 before one of us bites it. So if either one of us dies, we all go down.
Yeah.
The trolls have won. And we can't let that happen.
No, even though we both like trolls. But that's a story for another day.
So we already talked about the regular player turn, and like we started out with, we originally covered this up and said, don't look at the man behind the curtain for now. Well, let's take a look at the man behind the curtain, wife. Can you talk about how the game differs when the trolls come into play?
All right. I would say really the easiest way to explain it is the trolls get a turn in between each of your turns. So, same thing. You have the troll resolution phase. So, if that troll had been about to attack before, well, now the attack is finally going through. The troll gains a rage, which is essentially their crazy.
It's also their offensive statistic,
Yes.
so it doubles as their mean, and
Yeah.
when you attack, that's the number you're looking at.
Yeah, it's their resource, it's their attack, it's everything that makes them angry and gives them the fuel to go on. And then you have the troll behavior phase. So you get your behavior phase by flipping over behavior card. So the behavior cards, you do each one of the actions until you get up to wherever the rage is. So if you start and your troll's only at 0, that's awesome. You only have to deal with one thing.
But
it snowballs real darn fast.
And as you can see, when it gets to 9, all player shepherds take 5 damage. Well, you only start at 8 health.
Yeah.
That can hurt.
A
So,
lot.
if you've played any kind of MMO, let's go back to the default. Let's go back to World of Warcraft. It's not uncommon for bosses to have an enrage timer, where if you don't beat the boss by this point, he just loses his mind and everybody's in big, big trouble.
Yeah.
So, we are fighting the clock. We can't take forever. The trolls will eventually get to you if you don't do something about it. Now, one thing I wanted to point out is if you notice, each of these circles are color-coded. So those correspond to the various card types that we had talked about before. So you have your mutations, you have your actions, you have your conditions. So for example, if this were the card we flip, Guildfisk, who just like the Gruffs, card does artwork, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
On 0, he's going to play a Fester mutation token on the Gruff that's opposite Guildfist. So in this case, Screecher would get festered.
Which is so much fun.
So it's green, it's a permanent mutation, so it's going to stay there until something gets rid of it. Similarly, orange would be for action. There are blue ones for conditions, so when they fade, which is a new keyword, that we'll worry about that when it comes up. But point is that there's a variety of different effects, and even though there are only, air quotes, 5 cards, you have a huge range of effects, and the various combinations of which can have drastic implications for the actual game.
Yeah. Another thing I think it's good to note, your trolls also get your fat to protect themselves. They also have a life total, but one of the most important things to remember with the trolls is they count as both a gruff and a shepherd. So if you had an effect that was going to just affect a gruff, you can play it on the troll. If you had an effect that was just going to affect a shepherd, then you can play it on the troll.
So really, it's very backwards compatible. You don't have to worry about, oh, well, I only get to use half my card pool.
Yeah.
Because only these cards can interact with the trolls. You can basically use anything, which is very important. So we're trying to try out all the new stuff because I want to try the new toys. So we're only utilizing stuff from the Rage of the Trolls expansion.
Yes.
And we're going to try and see how this works out. So sorry about that. A little bit of a technical difficulty. Apparently, the light bulbs got excited too, and they got scared by the trolls, and we lost the light. So we're going to continue on and persevere. When we last left our heroes, we were talking about the gameplay setup when you're going against the troll. So we already talked about the behaviors and the tokens and how to lay out the board. One of the things that we didn't describe, though, is in addition to the rage and the fat and the life on the trolls themselves, they obviously have their own effects, just like all the other cards in the game. They also, since they don't occupy 3 spaces, these count as the sides of the troll. So in this particular case, Guildfist gets +2 defense when attacked from his side. So if Briggs and Mr. Blight or Squat and Thump decided to charge in, Guildfist is actually more defensible when we hit him from the side. So really, Screecher and Squabble are the ones who want to punch him. So that's point 1. Point 2 is this threshold. So you'll see a bar here, and you'll also see it on Wife's Shepherd, and also on mine, Baba Haga and Gristle, respectively. If your life drops below the threshold, something triggers. In Guildfist's case, Guildfist gains 3 rage and a fat, which means his defense goes up, he gets angrier, so he hits harder, he does more stuff. you want to get him close to that threshold and then close it out real quickly.
Yeah.
Because if you let him hang around below threshold, he's angry. And you wouldn't like him when he's angry.
No.
So, wife, can you describe why the turn order sequence has a crazy value on it? That isn't a card we talked about before.
Well, so this really only matters in this expansion. It doesn't really matter in general, Gruff play. But
By general, she means player versus player.
Yes. So, because husband and I are working together, if I was up to 6 crazy, but I only used 2, I would have 4 leftover crazy to use on husband's turn if I wanted to play a card to help boost his gruffs.
So, as we said, in the regular game, your excess crazy is lost. You don't get to carry it over. You don't get to do anything else with it. It's just gone. But because the turn sequence varies ever so slightly, your attack, so for example, if I were to try and punch Guildfisk on my turn, normally, if wife and I were playing against each other on my next turn, Squabble goes through and swings. When you're fighting the troll, my attack actually goes through on wife's turn.
Yes.
Similarly, any of my conditions will fade on wife's turn. So it's an important strategic variation. And you have to keep it in mind when you're trying to set up certain plays. And it can be super advantageous, or you could really handicap yourself if you don't time it properly.
Husband.
Yes, wife.
Are you prepared?
I think we're as ready as And we're back and we're at it. So we have our opening hands. I am going to be taking the first turn.
Because I'm a chicken.
And we'll see how this goes. So just to preface everything, this is our third attempt
at
Guildfisk. We did manage to successfully defeat him on the second try.
Yes, we did.
But, well, long story short, as we started out the very, very beginning, this is our first recording, and the first 2 were crap.
Yeah.
So we decided to redo some of these, and we're trying this again. And it's not that we lost and didn't want that on record. It's just that, well, honestly, the recording was kind of bad.
Yeah.
So.
Lighting is a thing.
Yes. We're going to take a stab at this. So, troll resolution phase, there's nothing to resolve. So we don't really have to worry about that. But the troll is going to gain a rage. Now, Guildfisk happens to move from 0 to 0, and then he's going to face the active player, me. So then, just as a quick note, if you were playing solo, he actually gains 2 rage. So that's one of the variations.
Yeah,
so if you want to
work harder,
if you want to do hard mode, then there's your option.
Yeah.
So now it's the troll behavior phase. So, wife, what do we got?
All right. So when he has 0 rage, play a Fester mutation on the Gruff that is opposite Guildfisk.
I swear, every time, this is always the card that comes out.
Yes.
So the Fester mutation, as we described before, mutations are permanent, so it'll stay out until something removes it. When the mutated Gruff would gain any stats, destroy all Fester mutations on the mutated Gruff instead. So basically, Squabble doesn't get any buffs from activating because he actually gets +1 mean when activated.
Yes.
Now that's specific to Squabble, that's not a general thing. So I am going to activate Squabble because, well, I want to get rid of this. This is silly. So I don't gain the mean by default, but I do gain the 2 crazy that I get from his weird of 2. So I go up to 3, meaning I have access to 3 resources worth of stuff, and we'll see how this goes. Now, since in this particular case, Guildfisk is not going to be attacking next turn, so this is not going to be all that useful. Wife, do you think you're going to be attacking in the near future?
I do believe so.
All right, so I'm going to give... Who do you think you're going to be swinging with? Screecher, I assume?
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to give Screecher the munchies.
Oh, I like the munchies.
So whenever Screecher attacks now, and again, this is a permanent mutation, so until something actively removes it, it's going to stay out there. Whenever the mutated Gruff attacks, you may destroy any mutation card. So if for some reason Guildfisk starts throwing Festers all over the table, or we have something else ugly that we don't want, looks like Screecher's going to be hungry.
All right.
So that was my play cards phase, because I spent 2 of my 3, so I have 1 leftover resource, which I can mark on my turn order card. But I don't have anything for 1, or nothing that I want to play. So now I can take a tactical action. And I think I'm going to swap Thump and Squabble. So I'm going to relocate the two.
Thump.
Thump. Thump. Which, okay, so not to really beat this dead horse, but I love the artwork and I love the so Squat may be my new favorite Gruff, but Thump is a giant heart. He's basically a giant heart, and his name is Thump. So the very obvious joke is there, but it's fantastic, and I love it for that. Like, that really entertains me.
We do love the obvious in this.
Well, I love puns, too, and, like, I guess it's not really a pun, but come on, it's close.
All right.
Go ahead, wife.
So, husband has ended his turn, which means Guildfisk does his thing. Well, he
There's nothing to resolve.
Nothing to resolve. So he is going to flip to face me. He is going to gain a rage. And then we're going to go into his behavior again. All right, Guildfisk attacks. Hooray.
So if you'll notice the way that the troll turn order works, everything resolves first, then he flips. So this attack is going to happen. Even though next turn he'll flip to face Thump, he's going to punch Screecher first. Yeah. And more importantly, that happens before we get to do anything. So if you were to try to attack with Screecher, kind of SOL.
Well, so then we also have, since he's at 1 rage, Guildfisk swaps to be opposite the Gruff with the most defense. Now, luckily, all 3 of my Gruffs have the same fat.
So we did clarify
I get to break the tie.
Yeah, we did clarify this with StudioWoe. The players do get to decide how the tie is determined.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Well, I am going to start by activating Screecher. So when he's activated, he gets +1 fat and +1 weird.
So all of the triggered effects off of your Gruffs go off, and then you generate crazy.
Yes.
Which is important in obvious scenarios.
Yes. So now I am up to 1 crazy. And that is unfortunately not going to help me much. But it does mean that, so I'm not playing any cards right now. So I do have 1 leftover crazy. I'm just going to mark it for fun, even though it's not really going to do much. Now I have my tactical action. So Screecher is my meanest dude, and that's why I love him.
Gotta get
Plus,
angry.
he's a deep thing.
You gotta get mean.
All right, so he is angry. He is mean. He is going to attack Guildfisk's face.
So if you'll recall, you don't get to attack immediately, right?
Yes, I have to wait.
So on my player resolution phase, the beginning of my turn after the troll goes, wife is gonna sucker punch Guildfisk.
Yes.
Because technically he's gonna turn around, so I guess you really are sucker punching him. You're gonna punch him right in the back of the head.
I mean, I punch him in the face and that turns him around.
I don't know if you want to punch him in that face. He's got a lot of tusks and teeth things going on. Like, yeah, I think that could end poorly.
And moving on.
So, anyway, we don't really have anything else for Guildfisk to do. We don't have anything else for wife to do. She's already declared a tactical action. So now, resolve. So,
passing the turn back to Guildfisk. So he finishes that attack that he started on his last turn.
Now, in this particular case, the way Gruff's combat works is Guildfisk has 1 rage. So the way the trolls are structured, he effectively has 1 attack.
Yeah.
Wife has 3 fat added to any other defensive bonuses, which she doesn't have right now, but she'll have 3 defense right now. So 1 is obviously less than 3. Guildfisk is going to bounce off the fatty that is Screecher.
Boom.
So if we were playing a one-on-one game, or if Guildfisk had other things to do, that 1 damage stays on Screecher for the remainder of the turn. So if somehow he takes 2 more damage, Screecher bites the dust.
Yes.
But at the end of the turn, it gets wiped clean.
So technically I go down and then I go back up again.
Not quite. You don't actually lose the fat. Just to clarify that. So, but you are, I guess, imaginary down 1 fat.
Yes. I was trying to visualize it.
So Guildfisk attacked, nothing happened. So now he gains a rage. Still at 1, thankfully. And we get, he's going to face me. And then we get our behavior. So he's going to get +2 defense. That's a problem.
That's a big problem.
And nothing else triggers because the rest are at 2
All
and
right.
higher. So, wife, what is your mean?
My mean is 3.
Well, that is awkward because Gilfus starts with a fat of 1. So the way the trolls work is similar to Shepherd's. Excess damage will hit the life total. Problem is 3 minus 3 is 0, so 0 damage. Womp womp.
Boo.
Sad face us. So instead, I'm going to take my turn. That was the player resolution. I will draw for turn. Let's see what we can do. We're going to activate... So the question is... I shouldn't... I guess it's okay that I switch those. Gilfisk is not attacking next turn, so I'm not super concerned about that. So I'm going to activate Thump. So when Thump activates, she gets a mean, and she gets 2 weird. So I'll get 2 crazy and go up to 5. This is why you want to keep... So I'm at 0 excess crazy right now. Well, I guess 5 excess crazy. Oops, this is at 1. Got to keep that a little more organized there. All right, that's not... this. Now, since this is blue, this is going to last until the troll resolution phase, and then it will fade. Again, the timing for these things is important, so it blocked Wife's attack, but if I were to attack, it would be gone by the time my attack went through. Now, Thump only has 1 mean. He has 1 fat, so it's not going to do a whole lot of good, but just something to keep in mind. Now, I have a bunch of ways to keep you alive, Wife, but unfortunately not a whole lot in the way of actually damaging the troll.
Yeah.
So that's a little awkward for us right now. I'm going to instead boost some of my stats. And let's boost my fat. Because he's going to start creeping up there in the rage. And I think that's going to be a problem. Or maybe... Squat's only going to do 1, 2. Do you have any ways to buff my attack?
I do not.
That's fine then. Then I will stick with that and pass it to you.
All right. Well, let's see what our trolley troll friend has to do. So, no attack to resolve, which is nice, but there will be next turn of freaking course. So he's still only at 1 rage so far, which is nice. If Guildfisk fully blocks an attack, the attacking shepherd takes 2 damage.
So it's a good thing I didn't attack last turn.
Yeah, that would have been awkward. That's really good. And then, did you increase his rage when you flipped him over? Did. Okay, so he would increase rage and turn around to face me. And so let's see what happens for me. So I have nothing to resolve. I am going to draw a card. I am going to activate Mr. Blight. So I get +1 weird when activated or when I play a mutation.
When you play a mutation?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I couldn't help you out.
I know. It was unfortunate when I figured that part out. So he is going to go sideways. And that means Gristle is going to increase his crazy a little bit by 1. So...
Now, while Wife's thinking about it, not to make things more complicated for you, Wife, but do you feel that you're going to need extra defense on Screecher?
I think he's okay for now, she said, hopefully. And I am going to, for my, I have no cards to play because I drew an expensive hand.
Well, I'm going to actually buff your defense anyway, just in case.
I appreciate that.
And really, it's for selfish reasons, because when this fades, meaning because it's conditional go away during the resolution phase, I get to draw a card.
All right. And then I am going to, for my tactical action, I am going to increase his fat because Guildfisk is getting angrier and it's making me nervous.
Sounds good. So next turn, Gilfisk is going to swing in for 1. Obviously, he has like a bazillion defense.
Yes.
Screecher does, that is. So he goes boink. Then
this goes boink.
Now things start getting ugly. Gilfisk is now up to 2 rage, so there are going to be more cards that are enabled, and he also flips to face Thump. So now this will fade away, the Bristle Defense. I will draw a card from that. Then, player resolution, we didn't have anything, or excuse me, we never did the Troll behavior.
No.
So he gets +1 rage. Great. So as you can see, if you give him too much time, he's going to get increasingly stronger. So if a Shepherd takes for 1, Shepherd takes 2 damage when this ability fades if Gilfisk is not attacked while this ability is in play. Again, this is a turn order sequence.
So since
Wife
I didn't attack.
Because Wife didn't attack, we're going to get tagged.
Yes.
Gilfisk is also going to attack.
Cool.
So, unfortunate. Now, since we ran out of troll behavior, what's going to end up happening is we'll reshuffle that next turn. But for now, we got to see what we can do. So, Bristle Defiance fades. I draw. Then I'm going to activate Squat, who gets +1 fat when activated or when my Shepherd takes damage. Oh, wow. This is not good. Well, I have 2 fat. He is there, so I'm going to have to... That is not helpful in the slightest. So I can keep myself up, Wife.
Uh-huh.
I can keep from taking damage there, but we're still going to get tagged for 2 damage because he wasn't attacked.
Yeah.
So I'm going to deal 1 to myself to give Thump +4 defense while Deathless is in play. So I'm down to 7. For tactical action, I'm going to increase... Do you have... We got to start doing damage to this guy. We're going to...
You think?
Bite the dust. So can you do anything damage-wise?
We're going to try... No. Well, not yet, but let's see what comes. It could happen.
All right. I guess I'm going to increase the mean on Squat. We'll go with that. Sad face. Pass turn. So Gilfisk is, well, we all take 2.
Yes.
Oh, Squat is going to, he got an extra fat because I took a damage from Deathless. Then he gets an extra fat because I take 2 from 1, 2 from Gilfisk. And then Gilfisk is going to attack. He's going to bounce off of my 6 defense.
All right. So Trolls bounce now.
So now
he is going to gain a rage, face me. And we're going to see what he does. And we're going to hope against hope that we don't redraw the card that we just played, because that's going to hurt us real bad.
All right, Wife.
All right, he's going to attack me. He swaps to be opposite the Gruff with the most defense. Again, I am tied, so he's staying where he is. Oh, nah. So that's a question. So I guess actually he's going to go opposite Squat. Oh, Squat. Why you gotta be that way?
Well, the question is, and this we did not clarify because this hadn't come up, but I wonder if he's supposed to swaps to be opposite. Yes. So he should be facing Squat, I would think.
I would think he's still facing me, just opposite Squat. But, so if Gilfisk is blocked by a Gruff with 6+ defense, he gains +2 damage on his attack. So that's fun. Let's not do that again. So I think for now we'll keep him facing this way, but he is opposite Squat. And then so
as you can tell,
eventually he will attack Mr. Blake.
While we do love this game, we're not 100% on all of the rules. So
this is true.
There are some minor things that we'll have to get clarified.
Now, unfortunately, well, that ends his turn, Gilfisk's turn. So I am going to draw my card, and I was hopeful, and that was a false hope right there. I am going to activate Mr. Briggs, because he is my only option left. And I am going to play, so that's +6 damage, 6 defense, so right now he has 3. So I am going to play Bristled Defiance, so that only gives him 2 extra, so we're good there. And then when that condition fades, I will draw a card.
Spectacular.
And
So before you do that, wife, question. Do you want Briggs to be the one that gets attacked? Because I could swap Briggs and Mr. Blight, and then that way you could activate Briggs to punch him next turn. You'll have 4 defense, so you should live.
well, that or Screecher, because Screecher could punch back.
I can swap Screecher. Well, no, it has to. I have to. When you play this card, the active Gruff switches. Excuse me. The active Gruff swaps places with an allied Gruff. So you activated Briggs this turn.
So
it has to be Briggs.
Then
your other alternative is instead to Bristle Defiance targeting Screecher and then use your tactical action to swap those two.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. And then I will be using my tactical action to go doinkity doink.
All right, let's see what we got. You done, wife?
I am done. I don't like being done, but I am done.
All right, Troll Resolution phase. He attacks. So 2, and what was your defense? 5?
Yeah, so 5
that's
total,
fine.
so that boinks.
We're not worried about Gilfisk there for because you didn't have 6 defense. But we are now going to be worried because now he's up to 3 rage facing me. 0. Play a Fester mutation. Spectacular. Gilfisk shifts left. So his left is going to be here. If he cannot shift left, he will shift right instead. That's fine. 3. Gilfisk deals 2 damage to the Gruff that is opposite him. So there's 2 damage on Thump.
Thump, thump.
Thump, thump.
Uh-oh.
What?
Does that kill Thump?
It does kill Thump.
Thump got thumped.
Thump is down for the count.
Now, Thump.
So that is not going to be good. Now, thankfully, Gilfisk will not be attacking, because if he attacked through, he's just going to be hitting me directly. But let's see what we can do.
All right. So first, because it's the start of husband's turn, resolution. So this is going to fade, which means I'm going to draw a card, which means and also Briggs is going to get meaner, because that's what happens when my mutations fade.
So I could do... I'm going to... This is awkward in this particular case. I'm going to activate Squabble, so he gets a mean. I gain 2 crazy. 1. Well, first things first, let's draw a card, see what other options we happen to have. Well, that didn't really change things much. So since we're activated, I'm up to 6 crazy. Let's zippy Squabble with Thump. So we're going to swap them. Well, this is a condition, so when it fades, I will also draw a card. So he has 2 defense. What do we think the odds are that if I punch him, he's going to get that fully block thing, and then we're going to have a bad day?
It's possible.
All right, well, we got to do something, so I'm going to destroy the Fester with Squabble's Spite. So I destroy a condition or a mutation. If it's a mutation card, which it is, he gets a mean. So up to 3.
You could do something.
Calm down, wife. Let's not get ridiculous.
Be a valued member of society.
All right. Well, let's get in there. So next turn, hopefully, we'll be putting some damage on Gilfisk. All yours, wife.
All right. Well, actually, no. It's Gilfisk's turn.
Yes.
So resolving, he's good. Now we have...
Oh, he flips, and he's at still 3 rage.
Okay, he attacks. Who saw that coming? If Guildfisk fully blocks an attack, the attacking shepherd takes 2 damage.
He is not going to fully block this one.
Woohoo! Destroy all players' conditions in play.
That's unfortunate.
That's
a mutation, not
problem.
a condition.
Okay, that's good. Destroy all non-token mutations in play.
Okay, that will destroy that one.
All right. I bet that was... Okay. Cool.
So
That's
his
fun.
attack will happen, but now
right.
resolution. So fade is a keyword. It means it has to leave play naturally. If it gets destroyed, I don't get the effect.
Yeah.
So I don't get my card.
All right, and I guess it's back to me now.
Well, first, Squabble's gonna get in there.
All right.
So 3 minus his 1 fat, he's gonna take 2. Down to 6.
All right. Now,
so the ideal scenario is you do 1 and then we hit him for 4.
That
but
is the ideal scenario.
I don't know if that's gonna happen.
I don't either.
Access, crazy.
All right, so I am back to the very beginning. I am going to draw a card. And I
hope you can do something big because I can't really do much.
I know. So he gets +2 defense on the side.
Mm-hmm.
How much is that card that gives him extra defense? That was an extra 2?
2 extra defense.
All right. Well, if we don't have that, I could possibly do a thing.
You might as well go for it because I don't recall, but I don't think there's a fully block trigger with that one.
And doing one last check in fear. All right. I am going to activate Screecher. He is going to get fatter.
It's a bold
he
move,
is going to get weirder. I am going to increase my crazy by 2 now, so I'm up to 4.
Seems good.
I am going to play... Ooh.
What do you got, wife?
Ooh. I am going to play Protect, so the active Gruff may swap places with an allied Gruff and gets +2 defense. So that's actually here. I am also going to play Screecher's Screech. So he gets +1 mean because he is an active deep thing. And there is no extra crazy because for once I was actually able to use my crazy, and that way I did not go over the maximum hand size. And I am going to attack Guildfisk.
Seems like a good plan.
I hope.
All right, so now we move back to Guildfisk's turn. So
All right.
Resolution, there's really nothing to resolve.
Well, he attacks, but it does nothing.
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah, he just boinks off of because there's not much there. So that goes away. He is going to gain a rage, still at 3. Going to flip to face Squabble. And what do we got this time? What bad thing is he going to do? He's going to have +2 defense. So he has 3 defense.
Yes, so I'll do 1.
Well, that's what we want, because otherwise you'd push him into threshold. If he fully blocks an attack, which he's not going to, then the Shepherd takes 2 damage. When this condition fades, Guildfisk gains 2 rage.
That's super unfortunate.
You have no excess crazy?
I have no excess crazy.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, things are going to start to spiral at this point. So, yes.
Yep. So, does this fades at the start of your turn once I am done attacking? Okay.
So you're attacking.
So at the start of your turn, I am attacking, for 4 mean.
Minus his 1 fat and 2 defense.
1 fat and 2 defense, so that takes 1. So
it'll be a 5.
My condition faded, so Briggs gets meaner. And that's all I got.
All right, so we resolved everything. Let's draw. Womp womp. So in this particular case, Squabble, you're going to have to activate Okay, so let's put it this way. Can you do 4 or can you do 5 next turn with Briggs or Mr. Blight?
No, because I can't get up to 7 crazy fast enough.
Well, the reason I'm asking is I could swap Briggs. So if you, I have another Zippy. So I could zip Briggs to swap with Screecher to position you so that you can punch Gilfisk without hitting him from the side.
The most I can do is that, well, when I activate him, I'll go 1 more. So I will deal 5, but then I'll -1, so I will deal 4.
You'll deal 4.
Yes.
Awkward.
Unless I draw something awesome.
Okay, so here's the next question. Do you have any way to deal damage to me? Because if I drop below my threshold, I can put a Fester token on Gilfisk, and then he won't be gaining so much rage.
Any way to mutate you?
No, damage me.
Damage you. Yes, but I think it'll take a couple turns.
Well, that's not really going to help us
No,
much.
it's not.
Because what I'm trying to do is avoid him gaining all that rage.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, he's going to punch through and probably, like, if he gets another attack, he's going to shoot up 2, 3 rage next turn. So 1, 2, 3, he'll be at 5. He's basically going to crush whatever Gruff is there.
Yes.
Unless you leave Screecher. But we need to get something, like, we have to close this game out. Or he's going to get out of hand. So, and your Mr. Blight only triggers when you mutate?
When I play a mutation, yes.
Okay. Okay. Wait, you said you need weird, right? Oh, no, I don't have enough. Okay, well, regardless, I'm going to have to activate SWAT. I gain a crazy. Sorry, everybody. We're trying to think through all these turns to try and make sure that we don't just bite it in the next turn or 2.
And we might be.
Let me see something. Uno momento. Well, I can boost your defense because I have 7 right now. So what we're going to have to do, I guess, yeah, we don't really have a choice. I'm going to boost the weird? No, we're going to boost the mean. Because whoever we punch with next turn is going to have to make sure that we get there. So I'm going to sit on my 7 crazy.
All right.
And pass the turn to you, wife.
Okie day. Well, Gilfisk is...
So he gains 2 rage.
Gains 2 rage.
So 1, 2.
And he's up to 4. So Gilfisk
Well,
gets...
he's actually up to 5 because now that was just from the thing fading.
All right, so he gets +1 rage.
Oh, great.
Shepherds take 2 damage when this ability fades. If Gilfisk is not attacked while the ability is in play. Well, since husband didn't attack, that's going to happen.
Sad face.
Now, for me, that actually might be a positive because I'm going to get some decent cards back once I go below my threshold. Oh, goody, he's going to attack. That's fun. So
his attack is 5 right now, and that's assuming you don't push him into threshold and he lives.
Yeah.
So, well, actually, we won't be pushing him into threshold, so just swing away. Swing for the fences.
Yeah. Guildfish shifts to face the Gruff with the greatest fat score. So it could be Screecher or it could be Squat. Now, I might move it to Squat so Mr. Blake can do a thing.
Does it say he moves to face?
Yes.
Which
you're right.
Guildfish shifts
so it's
to
not
the Gruff.
Shifts to face the Gruff with the greatest fat score. So that would...
So he would turn and face Squat.
And face Squat.
I am okay with that because I could keep Squat alive.
All right. Then let's do that. So, I guess that also answers our question from before about going opposite the character because that one wasn't face, that was opposite.
You are correct.
And then if the Gruff opposite Guildfisk has 6+ defense, kill that Gruff, but he doesn't, so we're good so far.
When does
That's an immediate one.
Okay,
This
that's
is
an
orange.
okay, because I was going to give
That's
him
a
additional
positive.
defense, so that changes
Yeah,
things
so we're good
significantly.
for right now. Okay. So now it's my turn. Nothing quite to resolve yet. I'm going to draw. I am going to activate. I'm gonna activate Mr. Blight. So he gets +1 weird, which means my shepherd gets +2 weird. So I'm up to 6. Just one more. All I needed was one more. All right. So, big plan. I'm going to play Virulence. I am going to play one of my favorite names in the whole game, Globular Goo.
You're like, what?
Globular glue.
No,
Goo.
globular goo.
Say it. Yeah. So when he declares an attack, I destroy that card instead. But I played a mutation, so I get to draw a card.
Is Virulence a mutation, or is that a...
It is not.
It's a condition. Okay.
Alright. Well...
Well, before you do your tactical action, I have things that I'm going to need to do.
Okay, well, do your thing.
Alright, well, I'm going to play Take Heart. I'm going to choose... Does he have a condition? You didn't attack, so that didn't matter. And those are actions. So I'm going to give him +2 defense, because otherwise I'm toast.
Yes.
The question is, are you attacking with him?
I was going to.
Okay, so we don't want to zippy him away and swap places with Briggs.
No.
Okay. Then that's all I got, Wave.
Alright. So I am attacking for 2, so it'll deal 1.
Thrilling.
Yeah.
Wait, you're going to do 1 and push him into threshold?
I thought he was at 6, so never mind, I'm not attacking. I will...
Do you want me to zippy Briggs then? So that Briggs can try and punch him next turn?
Yeah, but then if he moves, we're going to have a problem. But...
Okay, but if he moves, you're not going to be able to hit him anyway.
This is true.
I mean, I guess we could wait to see if he moves, and then I can zippy next turn.
Yeah.
But we're going to get... So we'll get this next troll activation.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll get another troll activation. No matter what, we run the risk of him
This is
moving.
true.
So do you want me to move him now?
How much did I spend? I spent 4, 5. That would go me into 7, so never mind. So...
We're going to reshuffle the whole deck. So I don't remember how many there are that move him.
Alright, for my tactical action, because I can only increase on my activated Gruff.
I have to do it right now. Do you want me to move Briggs?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to swap. We're going to zippy Briggs and Mr. Blight. Technically, this is on there, so when it fades, I'll draw a card.
Alright.
Oh, this is on the active Gruff. Sorry.
Alright. And for my tactical action, I am going to increase...
I need some other cards.
Increase some weird... Yeah. Alright.
Alright. We don't really have anything to resolve for Guildfisk, but he is
going to attack.
Oh, yeah.
And then go.
I meant for the other effects, yeah. So he's going to bounce off due to Take Heart. Problem is, now he gets angrier. He's now at 6. This is it. There's nothing else to activate, like I said, or resolve.
So let's see what he gets. Drum roll.
Sure. All right.
Totally a drum roll.
We got one of those.
All right, he gets +2 defense. Super cool.
When he fully blocks, we take 2. When this condition fades, he gets 2 rage. When he... What is that? Guildfisk deals 2 damage to the Gruff that is in the position opposite him. So Briggs is dead.
Oh, yep.
That's problematic.
You think?
Maybe we shouldn't have swapped him.
Right?
And then he gets +1 fat. That's even worse.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's not attacking this turn. This is going to fade. You did not have an attack declared, so I'll just draw a card off the fade.
This fades as well, and Briggs doesn't get meaner because he's dead.
That's super bad. Well, all my guys are back. Yeah, I definitely, in retrospect, that Zippy was a big mistake.
You think?
Well, there's other reasons beyond that. So he's not going to attack you this turn, though, so there's the silver lining. Excuse me. He is going to gain some excess rage, though. So if I do... He has 2 defense. Plus that is 4. Do you have any way... Do you have excess crazy right now?
I have 2 excess crazy.
Do you have any way to buff my attack?
I do not.
Alright, so if I were to activate Squat, I could get in 1 damage. That'll push him into Threshold, though.
Yes.
But I could...
But he can't gain any more fat. He just gets angrier.
Yeah. And that could be problematic, but... Especially because he'll be attacking me next turn. Because what I could do...
He won't...
He's gonna end up at like 9 rage this turn. So whatever we do,
gotta do it fast.
Okay, so I could resurrect Briggs right
now. Well, if you can either resurrect Briggs or swap out Screecher.
I can't swap. Well, but Briggs will be active. Like, he'll res and he'll be ready to go. So you will have to activate Briggs next turn. Is that what you want to do?
Let me remind myself how much mean he has. Yeah, that'll work.
All right, so let's Restless Dead targeting Briggs. Resurrect a Gruff, then shuffle this back into my deck. Oh, wait, I should probably activate a Gruff first.
Yeah, that might help.
The question is, do we don't care about him gaining fat, so do I punch him?
Yeah. I think at this point we got to go for the face.
All right, let's activate Squat. He gets a fat. I get a crazy. So I spent 4 on Restless, so I have 4 remaining. So here's the thing. I could either give 2 fat and then fester him so he gains no rage from this.
Okay.
So he'll only gain his threshold rage, essentially. Or we could drop his defense with Arrhythmia.
By how much can you drop his?
1. But it's a mutation. So it'll sit out there. So it won't drop his fat because it's dropping his defense. So when combat is calculated, he'll just have 1 less defense.
I think drop his defense because I think we're going to be filling out most of the cards anyway at this point.
All right. Then I will Arrhythmia with 1 leftover crazy. I actually don't want to attack because he has 2 fat and 2 defense is 4. I only have 3 mean, and I'll end up getting hit for damage.
But then it
actually
makes his fat go less, right?
Okay, so yes, you are correct. But what I was just thinking is, okay, so he has 2, 4 defense right now, effectively 2 fat and 2 defense. 3 with this. He will not fully block it. That actually, because I was going to say I could drop it and then I'll take 2 damage, fester him, and then that will... mistakes were made. I guess I'm going to increase the mean on Squat. I guess.
All right. We'll see what happens.
All yours, wife. So that didn't happen, but he is going to gain 2 rage. He's going to go to 7.
Okay.
We already gave him the fat and everything, so that's done. So now he's going to flip to face me.
Yep.
He's going to gain a rage. He's still at 7. Let's see what terrible things he's doing to us. He gets +1 rage.
Okay. Shepherds take 2 damage when this ability fades if Guildfisk is not attacked while this ability is in play, so we will be taking 2 damage.
But I will get to fester him, so that's nice.
Guildfisk attacks.
Great.
Guildfish shifts to face the Gruff with the greatest fat score. Still you. Still you.
He is a fatty. He's squat.
If he has 6+ defense, kill that Gruff. Well, he doesn't yet. Alright. But guess what? He's not going to attack. Because of that globular glue.
Globular goo.
It might be globular, but I like globular. So destroy this instead of letting him.
Well, he's
attack.
not attacking yet.
Yeah. Well, he declared.
Oh, it's when he declares the attack.
Yes.
Okay.
So here's the thing. Let's see how this goes. So I'm going to draw for turn. I am going to activate Briggs, which increases his mean.
That's important.
I
I have precisely 0 ways to assist you.
I am going to play Famine to make him lose a fat.
Okay. He's just going to gain that back if you push him in a threshold. But it does, you'll do extra damage this turn.
Yes. And if there's anything do you want to do anything before we continue?
I can't do anything.
Okay. Then I am going to declare my attack.
All right, everybody, sorry about that. Had a slight technical difficulty, so we're trying to bring everything back in. So when we last left our heroes, Wife had just declared an attack, and we were noticing that we made a slight play error, not a rules error, though there have been a couple of those. It's a, well, Wife, you want to explain what happened with Famine?
All right, so Famine doesn't work how I thought it works. Whenever a mutation is played, the chosen Gruff loses 1 fat. So unless Guildfisk plays a
Is it whenever a mutation is played?
Yes.
So I guess technically if Guildfist did one, then...
Yeah, so if he does one, then he is going to lose a fat. But if he doesn't, then Famine does nothing.
So that was kind of for naught.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. We'll survive. Hopefully. We'll see. So, resolution. He already did a rage. We do take 2 damage because nobody had attacked.
All right, so
that pushes us both into threshold.
Yes, which means I get protect back in my hand, which is useful.
So I get to fester Guildfisk, which is the same sort of thing that he was doing to us. So
that's a mutation.
Yes, it is.
So he loses a fat.
Yes, he does.
Yay!
So hey, it worked out for us. See, it's really the foresight that Wife had. Really, it wasn't a play error. We just second-guessed ourselves. Well, I mean, this was in play. We knew it was coming. So yes, we're going to say that you planned it out that way.
Totally.
So the attack was canceled because of globular goo, which there are a number of cards with heavy alliteration like that, and it's fantastic. So no attack. We already did the shift, and we already did 6+ defense. One quick note. So part of the troll resolution phase, or excuse me, the troll turn order, is he gains a rage and faces the active player. So I think we had messed that up a turn or two ago because he did switch to face the opposite person, but he shouldn't have rotated back.
Yes.
But in any case, small things. So we did our resolution. He's going to gain a rage, but it's going to get canceled by Fester. Then he's going to face the active player, me. Now, behaviors. So we have got, oh, Fester's back. So he loses another fat, actually.
Actually, that works for us.
I sure hope it works like that.
I'm going to say it does.
So Guildfisk shifts left. That's a problem.
That's unfortunate.
That's actually a potential serious problem.
Yeah.
So he still keeps his arrhythmia. He keeps his famine. He deals 2 damage to the Gruff that is opposite him. Wow. That is super bad. Okay, we were really happy a moment ago. Womp womp. So I'm going to say that the excess damage, which is 2, is going to go directly to me, which puts me at 1. So we're on our last legs, wife.
Yep.
Play a Fester mutation on the Gruff that is opposite Gilfisk. Well, I guess he still technically gets it. He's not at 9. Otherwise, we'd be dead.
Yes.
It would actually kill both of us. So, player resolution phase. So, wife, please tell me that you're finishing this guy off.
Well, no, because famine doesn't fade in time. So I am only dealing...
Why would you want it to fade?
Because if it fades, then I get another mean and I go up to 6.
Well, but then he would get +2 defense.
This is true.
Or actually, no, he doesn't get it back. So, never mind.
So he gets +2 defense from the side, correct?
Correct.
So I deal 3.
That's awkward. So 2, which pushes him to threshold, so he gets a fat, and he gets 1, 2, 3 rage. Did we give... Oh, no, he didn't get rage because of Fester. So now this fades.
Now I get angrier.
We gotta hope that we survive one more turn. So let's see. Player resolution. So I get squat back and ready. Draw. Well, okay, so obviously I'm activating squat.
Yes.
I'm up to 11 crazy. Wait a second. How much damage did you do? You were doing 5?
Yes.
And he was at 0 fat.
Yes, but
so
he had 2 defense.
He only had 1 defense because of arrhythmia.
Rock on with your bad self.
So he's actually at 1. I mean, honestly, I think if we could do 1, we're probably going to be able to do 2, but we'll see. So, then... Well, Flesh Burn is going to be bad because I don't want to deal damage to myself right now.
Yeah.
It's going to feel super bad. Would extra weird help you in any way, shape, or form? Oh, and this Fester goes away because I activated, but I won't get my extra fat.
An extra weird wouldn't help me overly much.
Because the only actual things that I can do are I can give a Gruff extra weird, so therefore extra crazy, and I can swap squat with one of my guys and give him +1 mean, so he'll be doing 5, so we could theoretically kill him. So I'm clearly going to be going for that.
Go for it?
Well, who do you think you're activating next turn, Screecher?
Probably Screecher.
All right, let's give him a benign neoplasm.
Okay.
So he gains 2 weird, and his maximum weird is increased by 2.
Okay, that's useful.
So you don't actually need to track it yet.
I don't, but...
So that's 9 of my 11. And then I'm going to ram to shift, squat, and squabble. He has a +1 mean. Oh, I took damage, so he should have gained 1. I missed out on 1 from activating because of the Fester. One of them was canceled out. So then... Oh, he has +1 damage, not +1 mean. Excuse me. So I will propose an attack.
All right.
We'll see if we live. It all comes down to this. If he plays something that just deals damage or just kills us right now, I'm going to be super upset.
Yeah.
All right, so troll resolution phase. There's nothing to resolve here. Because we already did the Fester, we already did the shift. He already dealt 2. We already played that, and that one doesn't count. So that one's gone.
I'm scared.
He goes up to maximum rage.
I can't look.
He faces the active player.
Mm-hmm.
He attacks. When he fully blocks an attack, he deals 2 to somebody. Destroy all player conditions in play. Destroy all non-token mutations in play. This is player Fester mutation. So he has 1 fat. He doesn't get any bonus defense. I'm going to hit him for 4. And I think that closes the game out.
Alright, so
Oh my
his
God.
turn ends. Our turn starts. Squat.
Kapow! Squat takes the victory.
We did the thing.
Sayonara, trolls. So that was the level 1 troll. There's actually multiple other trolls
Yeah.
that we had mistakenly tried one of the other ones just randomly. And yeah,
They're hard.
I don't know if they're in a progression, but they do have some nasty things they can do.
Yeah, they definitely do. Now, I don't think Gilfist was this hard last time.
No, he was not. We started off very slow.
This is true.
Which kind of killed us in our first game. But we'll get into that in our closing thoughts on this. But we hope you enjoyed watching us play and stick around for us to talk a little bit more about Gruff, Rage of the Trolls.
Well, that was fun.
That was fun, actually, wife. It was exciting all the way to the very end.
It was terrifying. I don't know if you mixed up the word terrifying for exciting.
Nah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, overall, wife, well, before we get into our final thoughts, I wanted to point out this particular playmat. One thing I do like about what StudioWoe has done with Gruff is they do have a number of playmats, and I love playmats.
Yes.
But I specifically love teaching playmats. So when you're learning a game, for me, for card games, it's very easy to lose track of things. And you even watched us make a number of mistakes, both with turn sequence and with getting, just general strategy. It's very easy to get lost in the details or get hung up on one thing and then bypass something else. So things like this certainly help, because then, oh, well, this is where my thing's positioned and this is how they turn. When we go to a friend's house or someone comes to see us, it makes it easier to lay this out on the table, give someone a visual aid. That's on top of the turn order cards and things like that are exceedingly helpful. And even the turn order cards happen to have a quick glossary on the back for the new stuff. So fade, mutation tokens, what fully blocked means, those sort of things. So I really did want to point that out. Oh, and we have something else cool that we wanted to share.
All hail the Fluttermind.
So this is one of their other awesome playmats, and there are a number of them. So this is the Fluttermind. It is one of the Gruffs from the base set that we didn't display today. It is a deep thing, and it is a lot of fun. So now,
if you go to any convention and you hear people screaming at the top of their lungs, all hail the Fluttermind, now you know what it's about.
You might, I don't know if they're still doing that promotion. I don't know, because when did they do it at PAX Unplugged?
They did, but they didn't make me scream it to make me happy, but I think they did make other people scream it.
I did, and that's how we got this one at Gen Con last year, I believe. And I'm pretty loud. You can ask wife. I would like to believe the entire convention hall heard me screaming all hail the Fluttermind. I don't know.
Jersey.
So, in any case, the Fluttermind and just in general, the playmats from StudioWoe are awesome. But how do you feel about Rage of the Trolls, wife?
I think it's a lot of fun. I do really like working together. I might get a little stressed out with the trolls. They're hard.
So as you can see, we didn't even cover 3 of the other trolls. We only started with Guildfist. Now these aren't in any particular order. I just pulled them out of the pile. But these other ones all have different things. They have different threshold levels. They do different things when they hit their threshold. They have different abilities, and their cards are different. So you get a lot of game out of this little bitty box.
Yeah, you get...
Like, this box doesn't seem that big.
It doesn't seem like much, but man, does it pack a punch.
You get a lot. So you get the trolls, you get your shepherds, you get your gruffs, obviously the counters, you get your actual cards. So these are playing card size, and these are tarot card size, which is something that we didn't point out earlier, but is notable. So if you want to sleeve everything up, you saw us playing unsleeved. We'll probably sleeve them later. You can get regular sleeves, you would for any Magic card, WoW card, whatever. And then tarot card sleeves. Although, honestly, I found it easier without sleeves for the sliders.
Yes, it's easier without sleeves for the sliders and for the regular cards for shuffling, because I can't shuffle.
So, in general, wife, do you prefer Rage of the Trolls versus playing one-on-one?
I do, but that's because I don't end up hating you at the end of the day.
She
But
might for other reasons, but
I
not
mean,
for the
yeah.
game.
And honestly, I really like us versus the machine because it gives a more random quality, and you have to work together. You have to think about what's coming, but you don't really know what's coming. And I think it's a lot of fun.
Honestly, I'm not sure for me. I'm torn between going against the PvE or player versus AI or however you want to put it of the trolls versus doing a directly competitive game where I get to, go toe to toe with wife with these gruffs and have a lot of fun with the tactical aspect of the game.
This is true too.
Personally, I love the competitive aspect. I've been playing competitive card games we were just discussing this the other day, a little bit over 20 years or so.
Yeah,
I've been playing a long time, a variety of games, and this entire basement is covered in cardboard. For better or worse, probably for worse.
for
There's a,
worse.
there's a lot of cardboard, but this is a game that I'm glad we bought that cardboard because I keep repeating it, it's a lot of fun, but as we said before, there is almost literal tons of theme
Yeah.
and Vorthos, which I love. That's what's always attracted me to a lot of games. Yes, I love the competitive aspect. Yes, I love the strategy aspect. I love the deck building and the actual gameplay. But there's something very special when you can feel attached to your deck. In other games, maybe I'll build a theme deck, or I'll build a tribal deck, or I'll have a specific interaction that I really love. In this game, you get you get effectively four air quotes heroes. You got your shepherd and you got your three gruffs. So it really becomes personalized of I'm shepherding this herd.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that makes me so happy about playing this game and gets me excited to build decks for it.
Yeah, and another thing that I really like about this game is it is a great game for people who haven't played it before when you're sitting down with new friends. And if they have a little bit of a card game history, it's not going to take them, 7 years and 47 magic binders later to build a deck. You get these 15 cards to choose from for each gruff. And while the gameplay obviously will change the more experience they get from it, it is fun to sit down with new people, and it's a fun nighttime game, hanging out game.
There is a big setup cost reduction with this game compared to other collectible card games or tradable card games. Now, this, as you can tell, because it comes in these boxes, you get everything you need. You don't need to go out and buy booster boxes and booster boxes and booster boxes to try and randomly rifle through packs and end up with 90% garbage. You get everything you need in these boxes. You can pick up and play, and then you have the option of additional expansions to try and add on. So to close out, we really enjoyed this game. We really love it. You should definitely check out StudioWoe. It's studiowoe.com, WOE.
Yep, not woe like a horse.
Or
woe like misery.
Okay. But you can definitely check them out. I know they have some videos on how to play. Certainly, I'm sure they did a much better job than we did explaining this, so I apologize for that. But definitely reach out to them if you're going to any conventions, such as Gen Con. They'll probably be there. Well, I can't say with certainty, but they have been the last few years. So you definitely want to check them out if you get the chance. You can order the game online. They have it on their site. Some retailers did have this in store, because I know our local store had the original base set, and I think Clash of the Battle Goats, but Gruff Rage of the Trolls was recently released earlier this year, so I'm not exactly sure on the timing for that. But definitely check it out. This game is a lot of fun, and also, if you can, check us out over at
randomsthoughts.wordpress.com. You can also find us on SoundCloud, on iTunes, on Google Play, pretty much all the usual podcast locations.
Exactly. You can check out all the links for that on our website. That one more time.
randomsthoughts.wordpress.com.
There's a little podcast link towards the middle of the page. We also do some articles about general gaming. Again, primarily focused on the WoW TCG, but obviously we expand into other things. And hopefully we can do some more Gruff content for you, more video content in general. But definitely give us a listen, do the whole like, subscribe, whatever thing that everybody always has at the end of these. But check us out, give us some feedback, and let us know.
And as always, all hail the Fluttermind.
All hail the Fluttermind.